Here's a look at a recap of your markets on this Friday, the 7th day of February. Looking back on the week this week, several aspects of the cattle markets, definitely not what we had hoped to see. But when we look at the auction barns around this state, prices this week mostly steady. There was some unevenness on either side of steady, but all in all, at the brick and mortar auction barns, prices held together very good this week, given what happened in other sectors of the cattle industry. That Missouri stocker formula, based on a 400 to 649 pound steer in the state, it was only down 60 cents a hundredweight, which is basically non-negligible to the market as a whole. Taking a look at the weighted average report for the state this week, when all is said and done, going to end up with about 44,000 head of cattle through the auction barns. Don't have all the data in yet, but awfully close to it. Take a look at some of those weighted average prices around the state this week. The steers, medium and large ones, 500 to 550 pound steers has statewide weight average price of $262.43. 5.5 to 6 weights at $339.42. 6 to 650 pound steers at $325.52. 6.5 to 7 weights at $304.68. The 7 to 750 pound steers $293.08. 7.5 to 8 weights at $275.33. Some 8 to 850 pound steers at $269.36. Some 8.5 to 9 weights at $261.84. The feeder heifers, medium and large ones, 5 to 550 pound heifers had a weight average price statewide of $320.32. 5.5 to 6 weights at $302.46. 6 to 650 pounds at $282.95. Some 6.5 to 7 weights at $277.38. 7 to 750 pound heifers, weight average price statewide at $265.69. 7.5 to 8 weights at $251.31. There were several pretty good sized drafts to full pot loads of some heavier weight heifers this week that sold at the auction barns around as replacements. And they still brought a well of a price. A few of the stick out sales there included 26 head of 713 pound heifers tagged as replacements, brought 311. Had some 21 head of 791 pound heifers just bumping right at 800 pounds. They brought 304. The stick out sales on the steer side, some of those this week, they were pretty close with last week's highs. A few of them $1 or $2 lower, a few of them $1 or $2 higher, but all in all, the market so far at the auction barn still in really good shape compared to what could have happened this week when we look at some of the other aspects of the market. Talking about some of those, the cutout value this week, the choice closed on Friday at $321.87. That was down $5.81 for the week. Select at $312.90. That was down $4.17 for the week. As of the 2 o'clock cutoff on the negotiated Fed cattle trade, 71,344 head. Live sales this week were anywhere from $2 to $5 lower. The dress sales mostly $2 lower. In Kansas, they end up with about 10,400 head, mostly all at 206. Texas reported about 2,700 head, mostly at 206 there. In Iowa, they had about 22,000 head. Live sales mostly around 206. They were anywhere from 205 to 208. A small handful very late on Friday trade at 203. Nebraska, they report about 24,000 head for the week. Sales there mostly at 208 and 328. Taking a look at the futures markets, boy, on the cattle side, this is where things got hit hard this week. Live cattle futures were 355 to 553 lower. Lean hogs did have a positive week, 127 to 308 higher. Feeder cattle, 717 to 1082 lower this week. February live cattle on Friday closed at $200.77, up 15 cents. April, $196.77 unchanged. June at $192.10, up 27. Feeder cattle, March 264.90. That was down 40 cents for the day. April 264.82, down 17. May at 263.60, down a dime. That feeder cattle index, based on an 800-pound steer up through the 12-state feeding region, 275.59. Lean hogs for February, 60 cents higher, 87.25. April closed on Friday up 40 at 92.15, and May at 96.02, up 20. Turning our attention now to the grain markets, they fared a bit better this week. All of the commodities there closed higher for the week. Soybeans at the elevators around the state, 5 to 8 cents higher. Wheat was 20 to 24 higher. Corn, 5 to 11 higher. On Friday, corn bids in the St. Louis region, 492 to 494. Kansas City, 447 to 477. Soybean bids in St. Louis, 1045 to 1047. Kansas City, 999 to 1029. Wheat bids in St. Louis, 592 to 604. Kansas City, 562. On the Board of Trade, on Friday, corn March closed at 487.5, down 7 3/4. May at $5 a half cent, down 7. March soybeans were 11 lower, 1049.5. May at 1065.5, down 10 1/4. Wheat for March down a nickel, 582 3/4. May at 595.5, down 3 1/4. Soybean meal for March down $5 a ton at 301.40. Soybean oil for March, 58 cents a hundredweight higher at 45.98. With the Missouri Department of Agriculture, that's your closing markets for Friday. This is Tony Hancock.